Hi, what's up? Welcome back. We're gonna watch this "Dealing with Anger: A Buddhist Perspective" by Einzelganger. I don't think that's how you say his name, but this channel is mainly about philosophical things in nature, and it's a pretty pretty dope channel. He deals with a lot of like psychological videos and the different people in that field. Right here, you got the Stoics, um, Dostoevsky. He had a lot of Carl Jung, um, just things like that. So it's pretty dope if you like um, watching videos about that type of stuff. So definitely gonna watch this one. This one's dealing with
Uses
anger.
anger when the same end can
Definitely would say that that I also have problems with anger, but that I try to like hone in and try to realize that people are allowed to be angry, and it's about like how you deal with that anger and where you put that anger into, rather than like other people or yourself or something destructive. Then you put it towards being angry in a like a passionate way, and using that to fuel yourself to do something either creative or at least not self-destructive.
be arrived at by reason. Do you suppose that a hunter is angry with the beasts he kills? Seneca. Anger is an emotion that everyone experiences at some point in their lives. There are different ways in which anger manifests and also different ways to handle it. Some people throw temper tantrums when they don't get their way. Others respond with anger when they are in danger. And a respectable amount of people cling to the idea of being wronged, which results in a form of anger that slowly consumes us. Also known.
There's like that one really dope painting, and I feel like it really encapsulates anger. It's Lucifer angry. I don't really know what the painting is called, I forget, but it's just like Lucifer when he's like this. He's like pissed as shit, right? He's like a fallen angel and he just looks hella mad.
Known as
What that
resentment.
cat
In
reminded
this
me of.
video, I would like to talk about anger, the dangers of anger, and some suggestions on how to deal with it from a Stoic and Buddhist perspective.
I myself am a Buddhist. I read a lot into its teachings, watch a lot of videos into its teachings. I would consider myself non-practicing, but I like to learn more about it to eventually potentially practice bits and pieces that I like about it and incorporate that into my life. And I think when you're involving yourself in a religion or a movement or a type of lifestyle, you shouldn't go all in. You should learn as much as you can about it and incorporate what you find helpful for yourself into your life, and what you don't find helpful or what you think doesn't really pertain to you, um, you should still learn about it and see why they do those types of things. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you should incorporate it into your lifestyle if it doesn't, coincide with the way that you're living. And if you find too many things about a certain religion that doesn't really jive or vibe with the way that you're living, then maybe that's a signal of that's not really for you. Hey, oh, anger.
Even though anger is natural, we cannot deny that the consequences of unrelented and uncontrolled anger can be devastating. It's not uncommon that anger leads to murder, and history has taught us that deeply rooted anger, also called hate, can lead to mass violence, war, and even genocide.
Baby's over here.
Still, many people justify anger, calling it righteous anger, when they have solid reasons to be angry. Also, people see anger as a functional emotion that assists us in asserting ourselves and self defense. And Aristotle declared anger to be a desire to repay suffering. We could also see anger as a form of energy, and when harvested the right way, it may help us to attain our goals. Stoic philosopher Seneca, however, is critical towards the validity of these claims, telling us that anger is a form of madness. I quote, "For it is equally devoid of self-control, regardless of decorum, forgetful of kinship, obstinately engrossed in whatever it begins to do, deaf to reason and advice, excited by trifling causes, awkward at perceiving what is true and just, and very like a falling rock, which breaks itself to pieces upon the very thing which it crushes." End quote.
I feel like angry is such a weird thing because um like you could be calm and angry, right? So you can't really say calmness is the opposition of anger. You could be um mad and angry. You could be sad and angry. You could be happy but angry, an emotion could follow and you could still be angry. You could be in love and still be angry. And it's such a weird thing because in Buddhism, there's a lot of opposition and yin yang talk where if you're sad, then you've known happiness. You know, if you're um, feeling any type of emotion, then that means you felt the opposition of it because you can't really feel a certain way until you felt the other way, which is a weird paradox because then what feeling came first? Same thing with chicken and egg, but anger is weird because it can be added onto any type of emotion. I mean, some people might call you like if you're happy and angry, someone might call you manic. If you're if you have those two conflicting, some say two conflicting emotions, they could be like, oh, he's bipolar, or this it's like a different type of label, but it doesn't change the fact that you can do both those things at the same time. Like there's nothing stopping you. So it's just weird to categorize it and
There's
pinpoint
a
it.
Buddhist story that challenges the
Either
notion
stop
of
it or
righteous
harness it.
anger by telling us about a young boy with a bad temper. His father was concerned about this, but instead of fighting anger with anger, he gave the boy a bag of nails and a hammer. He told him to hammer a nail into the fence every time he loses his temper. At the first day, the boy hammered about 30 nails in the fence. But when the days passed, the daily amount of nails decreased, until the day came that the boy didn't lose his temper once. He proudly
I feel like anger is in the same category as boredom because you can also be bored and feel a different range of emotions.
told his father, who gave his son the instruction to pull out a nail every time he was able to suppress his temper. Finally, the day arrived that all nails were pulled out. The father showed his son the fence and said, "Well done, my son. However, I want you to look closely at the fence. It's full of holes, which means that it has been changed forever. When you let anger out, it will leave scars. You can stick a knife in someone and pull it out, but no matter how often you apologize, the scar will be there forever." End quote.
Imagine you like get mugged, someone stabs you, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Fuck."
Even when we may seem to have a very good reason to be angry, which is basically a sense of being wronged and violated, we only risk to do further damage, especially to ourselves, if we throw our ability to reason in the gutter and let our emotions take over. When reason ends, anger begins, said the Dalai Lama. Now, there are many different forms of anger. There's rage, surliness, resentment, bitterness, harshness. There's temporary anger that lasts a few minutes, and long-term anger that lasts a lifetime. Tibetan Buddhist monk Geshe Yongdong distinguished two types of anger: hot anger
Nice.
and cold anger. The first type of anger is the one that, figuratively speaking, sets oneself and the surroundings on fire. The second type of anger is the one that's internalized and repressed, and can be carried along for years, and eats one up inside. According to Seneca, we
It's like a deep resentment for something. It's like another, cold anger. It's like you fucking like you're almost plotting for revenge, but you're not. You're just like mad about it. and you don't want to like let go of it, so you're just beholden to that thought or feeling for like the rest of your life until you kind of let go and move on.
We should not confuse human anger with the aggression we see in animals, since human anger is based on flawed reasoning, while animal aggression is based on impulses. A fundamental difference between animals and humans is our ability to reason. Seneca doubts the usefulness of anger for humanity by explaining the nature of anger compared to the nature of man. I quote, "Yet what is more savage against them than anger? Mankind is born for mutual assistance, anger for mutual ruin. The former loves society, the latter estrangement. The one loves to do good, the other to do harm. The one to help even strangers, the other to attack even its dearest friends. The one is ready even to sacrifice itself for the good of others, the other to plunge into peril, provided it drags others with it." End quote. Now, is anger useful? Both Buddhist and Stoic ideas agree on one point: anger is not useful. The Dalai Lama pointed this out in his book A Policy of Kindness, stating that anger is not necessary when we have the power of reason. Moreover, when we resort to using force, we probably don't have good reasons to do so. I quote, "If there are sound reasons or basis for the points you demand, then there is no need to use violence. On the other hand, when there is no sound reason that concessions should be made to you, but mainly your own desire, then reason cannot work, and you have to rely on force. Thus, using force is not a sign of strength, but rather a sign of weakness."
Well, I feel like that doesn't really rebuke anger. Like that's really rebuking violence and physical force upon anything, and rather of like thinking about it and trying to like reason with your thoughts and wrestle with your own mind of forgiving whatever you're trying to be violent against. Like you can, violence is also another word, but it's an action, right? Like when you're violent towards something, you're doing a physical action, but you can also be verbally abusive, which could also be pretty violent. And that doesn't necessarily mean the Dalai Lama here is talking about anger. And this guy that's talking, his reasoning, I feel like he's kind of like adding violence and anger in the same light, when you can be angry, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're violent. You know, like you could be angry at the world, um, but that doesn't mean that you're violent towards the world. You could just resent the world, like the he said the Buddhists were talking about uh, cold anger. You can just like hold on, be just a bitter old man, and just grow old with that anger in your heart and hold on to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that person is out there um, acting it out and being violent and physically, you know, physically forcing other people and doing things and like punching them and shit. Like you can be violent. You can be angry and paint your anger, right? Like I don't think, I just don't think that what he was saying about violence and anger are necessarily the same thing.
End quote. Therefore, when we are about to throw a tantrum, it's
What the
always
fuck? Look at
good
this
to
painting.
ask
I'm
ourselves the
saying, look
following
how angry that
question:
shit looked.
am I doing this from a place of power or from a place of powerlessness? According to Seneca, there's nothing reason cannot do what anger can. In his work Of Anger, he makes a distinction between using force and using force with anger. In some situations, it is necessary to use force. Many people believe that using force goes together with anger, and that being angry can somehow assist them in their use of force. But Seneca compared anger to drunkenness. In a battle, angry fighters have no control over their movements, like drunks. Eventually, their rashness leads to defeat by a more intelligent opponent that isn't led by the passions. So, what can we do about it? Well, anger comes in different stages. It may
I feel like if someone loses in a battle, it has a lot more to do than like their skill. You know, that I don't want to base. I don't think he should be basing everything on like this guy's calm, this guy's angry, and this guy was too passionate and he got killed because he wasn't calm enough to see this guy's movement. It's like maybe the other guy's just fucking way better at him with a sword and kill his ass.
start with a light irritation, which then builds up to one angry outburst. When the latter is the case, it's too late. Seneca argues that in order to remedy anger, we should become aware of it in the early stages and apply antidotes when it's still small. I quote, "That which is diseased can never bear to be handled without complaining. It is best, therefore, to apply remedies to oneself as soon as we feel that anything is wrong, to allow oneself as little license as possible in speech, and to restrain one's impetuosity. Now, it is easy to detect the first growth of our passions. The symptoms precede the disorder." End quote. So it is clear that the Stoics prefer tranquility over
So I don't really fuck with Seneca, bro. Like I think people are should be allowed to feel their emotions and then deal with it accordingly. But you feeling an inkling of something happening and then trying to deal with that inkling rather than letting your full range of emotion apply and come out and then seeing what you can do to remedy that emotion once you understand it and like fully realize what you're feeling. Because if you don't, then you're just guessing. Like you're guessing what the remedy is. Like this like if you did what Seneca said and you have this rush of feeling in your body, and it's actually a feeling of lust, but in your head you're thinking like, oh, I'm angry. So you try and deal with it um in a standpoint of you think that you're about to be angry, so you try and remedy it that way, but you're actually was about to feel lustful for whatever you were about to do. So instead of dealing it through that lens, you're dealing it through a different lens, and you're still having the underlying not being cured or affected or treated or like even looked at. You did something that you didn't even have to do at all because you thought that's what you needed, instead of fully feeling out what you're feeling and then do an introspection, have an introspective moment, and dealing with it once you felt it. 'Cause how can you deal with something unless you know what you're feeling?
anger.
Doesn't really
But
make
how
sense,
do we achieve
to
this? In
preemptively attack
Buddhist as
something.
well as Stoic sources, we'll find different approaches and ideas that can help to kick anger to the curb. An important one is patience, which, according to Seneca, is a product of reason. The thought behind
What? How can you have patience if you're too impatient to deal with your emotions and you just preemptively go and try and cure it before you patiently see how you're actually feeling? Doesn't make sense.
patience is actually an important Buddhist doctrine called impermanence. Everything is in flux, and what's happening in this moment will soon be the past. Not only the things that we are upset about will lose their significance.
All right, see? And that's why I mess with Buddhist people rather than Stoics, because like as a Buddhist says, nothing truly matters, and eventually, like this too shall pass. Like eventually, things will pass. So why would you not feel your anger, let it flow through you, and know that at some point your anger will disappear, or you'll deal with it somehow? And like, I mean, that's up to you to figure out how you're gonna deal with it, and let your body and your mind go through that whole range rather than what Seneca was saying and, you know, being a little jumpy on the trigger.
The feelings of anger will start to subside. That's why counting to 10 is excellent advice, although in some cases it may be better to count to 100. Another one is acknowledging that we are angry. This doesn't mean that we act out, it's just that we accept that the emotion is present in our body. Denying the fact that we are
Yeah.
angry for example, because we want to be goody goodies that never get angry, regardless of our true feelings, we're fooling ourselves and the world. It's just another form of repression that will end up in the unconscious. We can just say to someone, I feel angry right now, without hitting the person with a rock. When we acknowledge our anger, we
Right?
create
Isn't that what
space
I was
between the
saying?
observer and the emotion, without identification with that emotion.
These
This
are
way,
Buddhist
it
teachings
won't
right now.
control us. Another one is forgiveness, which works better when it comes to long-term anger like resentment. When we forgive, we can finally give ourselves permission to let go of the grudges that we have been carrying around for so long. The Stoic idea of control is a good
Forgiveness in the Buddhist sense isn't really about like forgiving um the other person or whatever slight happened to you. It's like, at least I see it as like forgiving yourself and letting yourself move on, and you're forgiving the moment so you can move on through the transgression of that, like that transpired to you.
good argument to practice forgiveness. Some things are in our control, some things aren't. We can't change the past. We can't control what the person who wronged us says, does, or feels. But we can change our position towards it. We can let go and forgive. Or we can
See,
choose to drink poison and wait for the other person to perish. But it's
that's like such a such a like a phrase that's said has been said so many times. At least I've watched so many of these types of videos that I've like heard that phrase so many times, that anger and resentment is like or like trying to get back at someone is like you drinking the poison and hoping that they die from it when you're the one hurting yourself. And that's how most of these teachings see anger and resentment and those negative feelings towards other people, where you're taking it in yourself in hopes that they feel some effect from it, when that's never going to be the case. So it's better to, like I mentioned, forgive yourself, um like let yourself be okay and let yourself get through the moment, and to just move on from it, because at the end of the day it doesn't really matter. Like nothing really matters at the end of the day. It's a good, pretty good video. But yeah, I love this guy's videos. Yeah, like in this video, sometimes I have a differing opinion of the video, but that doesn't really stop me from enjoying the things that he talks about, or his opinion on the subjects, or the teachings that he read, and how he um sees it, and how he wants to like put it out into the world. That's why I enjoy doing this type of YouTube, because it lets me see a lot of different perspective and um, different versions of people's empathy and how they perceive knowledge that they attain, and how they want to give it out to the rest of the world. And I think that's like a pretty cool thing. And then the world is is so accessible now that you can really just learn anything you want. So pretty cool.